Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of XenTegra on Air podcast series. I'm your host, Indrajeet Ghorpade, Director Solution Engineering with XenTegra Private Limited. And I have with me my friend John Moody, Director Pre-Sales for UK and I at IGEL. Hey, hi, John. How are you?
Morning, Indrajeet. I'm really good. As we sort of spoke about in the bit we talk about before we hit record, I'm getting married next week. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just chaos in my house at the moment, just chaos. Um, so yeah, today's my last day, and then
Oh,
next week
and
I'm
that's
good.
your dedication, right? You're going on leave, and like before that, you want to record something for
That's
our
it.
audience.
You're my last piece of work to do before I go away.
Oh, that's great. It's my
Yeah, there you
pleasure
go.
today.
So next time we speak, I'll be a married man, and we can talk about that. That'll
Oh,
be fun. But
okay.
yeah, so I'm getting married up in Scotland. It's going to take us 6 hours to drive there from my house. I live in Nottingham, which is just in the middle, and we're
Okay.
driving up to Scotland. We go up Tuesday, and then we get married on Saturday. So yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait. It's taken months and months and months of planning, and I'm super excited. But yes,
First of all,
um,
like in advance, congratulations to you both.
thank you.
Anyway, like after the marriage, like we'll again meet up and like we'll formally congratulate you. But like I want
Yeah,
to give
absolutely.
advanced wishes to
Thank
you
you.
both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be quite a small wedding though, Indraji. I'm guessing being India, you're used to quite big weddings, right?
Yeah, big fat
So
weddings, like thousands of people, lot of events,
thousands.
thousands of people,
Wow.
lot of sweets, lot of like dance performances, lot of things are happening. Like so in India, like
Wow.
wedding is kind of an event, right? So everyone tries to make
A
it
thou
big.
thousands. My God. Right, we've got we've got 47
Oh,
people going. And we do have dancing as well. We have a lot of dancing. So this could be an exclusive on the XenTegra podcast. So not even my wedding guests know this. Uh, my partner and I, we've learned the Argentine tango. So we've been
oh,
having dance lessons for a year and
oh,
nobody knows. It's like this is super top
oh.
secret. So we're
So
gonna come
you
out.
have disclosed the secret in this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, I've released it now. So, I mean, hopefully my family, I don't think they will listen to the XenTegra podcast. I mean, they should do, right? But they won't. And yeah, so we've been learning to dance for a year. Um, and
Oh, that's good.
that's been a big deal. That has been a big deal because I can't dance. I'm useless. I'm absolutely like two left feet. But yeah, so I'm more nervous about that than I am actually getting married. I won't lie. I'm like the wedding bit, I'm fine with that, but the dance bit in the evening, oh no. But there you go. That's not the only big
No,
event,
you'll
which
do it. You'll do it,
yeah,
son. You'll
indeed,
do it
yeah,
because you already prepared for it. And like I think if you
indeed,
prepared like for almost a year, then like maybe I think you'll do it
yeah.
great.
I tell you what, Indrajit, let me tee this up for you. Let me tee this one up for you. That's not the only big event we're going to talk about today, is it?
Yes, right. The upcoming event of IGEL.
There you go.
Yeah, so that IGEL Disrupt, yeah, like the way IGEL is doing this Disrupt, this conference IGEL is doing for last couple of years, and like it is in multiple regions, and I think immediately there is an event happening in Miami.
It's
And
Miami,
I think
yeah.
we have discussed this like and like we thought of like cover that event at this particular episode. So yeah,
Yeah.
and because like a lot of people like around the world will be traveling, like all those EUC folks, all the people from the end user like computing communities, everyone is like willing and like everyone wants to be part of that event. So who like obviously like whoever has already booked the passes or like in the process they will go and see the event. But like at least uh, before this event, maybe we can give some like highlights or like what are the things
Yeah.
people should think of or like people should focus right to like or to plan their attendance to this particular event. So maybe
Yeah,
if you can
absolutely.
just brief us a little bit on it.
Oh, it'd be my absolute pleasure. And I'm going to give a shout out here at the moment to our VP of marketing. He's a guy called Carl Gersh, who is
Yeah.
putting on Disrupt. And like we see Carl every week, he gives us an update internally about how the planning for Disrupt's going, and it's going to be amazing. And I really feel for Carl because he's putting so much effort into this. And I know, obviously, organizing a wedding, when you put on a big event, right, it
Yeah,
just takes over your life. So I really appreciate Carl. So yeah, we're going to be in Miami, which is nice. That's not a terrible place to go. And it's going to be April the 29th through to May the
yeah,
1st. So it's going to be 3 days. Um, we've taken what we did last year at Disrupt. We've kept the bits that people liked and the bits that people found really useful and really entertaining. We've made it bigger, and we listened to the feedback from people who attended last year. And I genuinely think this is going to be the best disrupt that IGEL have ever done. So what you're going to see, there'll be obviously you've seen the positioning change in IGEL now. We talk about security, digital workspaces, and that whole endpoint. And really, disrupt is going to be kind of talking to that. So, endpoint security, right? That is going to be um,
yeah,
really the main topic of focus. And what you're going to see is lots of insights from key players in the industry around the whole topic of security. We're going to let you do boot camps at Disrupt. So if you're looking to increase your technical knowledge and maybe even get some certification, then you'll have the opportunity to do that at Disrupt. There will also, this is for the first time as well, I believe, first time we're going to have industry specific content tracks. So if you work in
okay,
healthcare, you
yeah,
can go do the healthcare content track and you can learn about how IGEL and IGEL partners are coming together to create these solutions for specific vertical markets. And I know you and I,
okay,
when we're planning our next series of podcasts, we're going to start talking a little bit more about
yes,
specific verticals. So yeah,
yeah,
we're going to start doing that at Disrupt. So if you say you're in healthcare, come and see how IGEL and Improvata integrate to give a great clinical work, great clinical experience and that kind of thing.
yeah,
There'll then be the usual crowd, if you like, of our great EUC community. So you're going to hear from people like Citrix, Broadcom EUC, Microsoft, and also, our IGEL Diamond sponsors. So that's going to be HP, Lenovo, and LG. Um, and see what those guys are up to in, what is quite a disruptive space at the moment, right? There's a lot going on in our world of EUC. And
yeah,
I'm particularly excited to hear from Broadcom. Hopefully they'll be a little bit further on in their journey by the end of April. So I'm hoping we'll get some insight into what those guys are up to. Very exciting for those guys at the moment. But also some other ones as well. One I'm really interested in. We're going to talk a little bit of this in terms of product updates. Um, but we've just announced an integration with Island browser. Have you come across
yeah,
Island before? So it's like the secure
yeah.
browser.
So we are
Um,
partnered with Island as
right.
well. Yeah, we are working
Okay,
closely with Island.
fantastic. Oh, awesome. So you're going to be able to talk to your customers now about iGel running with Island Browser directly installed. So
Yeah,
they're going to be at the show. Control Up will be there. Obviously, I assume Simon will be going. Nerdio are going to be there. I was with the Nerdio team earlier this week. Super excited about what those guys are doing now. Really interesting at the moment now that Microsoft have announced Azure Stack HCI on premises with AVD. So
yeah,
Nerdio's got a really nice play there in terms of managing AVD workloads on prem. Um, Parallels are going to be there. I think what they're doing at the moment is really interesting. AWS with AWS workspaces. Everybody's going to be there. I'm hoping I can get to be there as well. It's going to be good. The Technology Expo will be there. That's going to be bigger than we've ever been. And you're actually going to be able to go meet these people, meet these vendors, and get your technical questions answered. Hopefully, pick up a bit of free swag along the way. Um,
yeah.
and yeah, and I think probably the best bit, I don't know if you ever heard of them, but it was a really good band we've got playing the party. This is a band called the Gypsy Kings. Um, it's our
Okay.
C it's our CEO's favorite band. So they're headlining the IGEL party. I'm assuming that's on the first or the second night. I'm not entirely sure when. So that's going to be a good show, right? That's going to be good fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all super excited. I honestly cannot wait. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. And if anybody wants to go get tickets, there is early bird offers on at the moment. If you just go to igel.com/disrupt24, I'll go speak to yourself, Indrajeet. I'm assuming, as a partner, you
Yeah.
can help get customers out there.
Even
Um,
XenTegra is offering. like passes like in on discounted
Oh,
rates to our customers. Yeah.
fantastic. Well, yeah, good. Maybe we'll all go with you then, and that'll be you can pay. That'd be good. So yeah, it's gonna be a really good show. It's gonna be a really good show.
Yeah, and like so you like even right last year I was part of like I actually attended this trip Nashville, and like I got that experience. It is kind of a grand event like that, overall knowledge sharing, that celebration, that appreciation to the partners, like overall ecosystem partners,
Mm,
and like a lot of learnings, workshop sessions, a lot of networking, meeting all the experts in the industry. So it is a great event, and it is one of its kind of event, right? And best part is it was like it is happening on regional level, so you can able to meet experts in that specific region, which is actually a good, as well as this US event specifically, right, where you'll get that chance to meet all the expert related to these ecosystem partners, as you mentioned about, like say for example Citrix, like Broadcom, UC, Microsoft. So last year, like in the last year event, right, all the leaders from all these
mm.
partners were on the same stage, which is kind of a very rare scene, right, when all competitors actually sit on the same stage and share their thoughts on a
Yeah, some
specific
amazing,
topic.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
it
think
was
I
kind of a,
So I what I found really special about that is you had the likes of Scott Manchester was there, wasn't he? And from Microsoft and Sridhar from Citrix was there.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that says a lot about our community. Is like obviously Citrix and VMware, right? Or Citrix and Microsoft or who they all compete, right? Um, but I think everybody gets that, EUC has never been just like one solution, right? It's a
yeah,
combination of different solutions. And we're in our own way as particularly those vendors, they're all trying to solve the problem, if you like, in their own way. And really, what I think it says, as a customer, you have choice, right? You don't just
yeah.
have to go with a vendor who does this one particular thing to try and solve your problem. You can mix and match, and you can pick and choose. And I think it says a lot, and I think it's great that these different companies can come together. And actually, really, what we should be doing is putting the customer at the center, right, or the end user, more importantly, at the center, and go right. What because no two businesses are the same, right? um, it's got to be the right solution. I think the other thing is from an IGEL perspective, I'll just touch on. We will be making some big announcements.
Okay,
I honestly cannot talk about those right now. But
okay,
there's going to be some big IGEL announcements. I mean, some of it we've kind of we've sort of briefly spoke about in terms of our repositioning as a security company. So I'll be
yeah,
expecting some big announcements around that. So if you want the IGEL news first, then you're going to have to be there. Um, and our CEO Klaus Oosterman, I bet he's very excited. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So some
yeah.
of the announcements we don't even know yet. So we're not being
Okay.
told. There's like a box in the corner of an office where it's just covered with all the announcements inside, and even we don't know. So
Even a lot of
it's gonna be good.
surprises for IGEL employees as well, right?
Well, I'm hoping we do find out because obviously we're going to have to be talking about it on our next podcast. So yeah, but I love these shows. I think they're great. When I was at Citrix, I used to really look forward to what was Citrix Synergy, and as a bit of a nerd in the EUC space, you always wanted to know what the next product update's going to be or what the
Yeah,
vision is, right? And I think this is going to be vision setting. It's repositioning IGEL away from that idea of being a thin client, um, and being a real part of your zero trust architecture, right? And I'm looking forward. Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
yeah. Other than this, right? Like so, you said like there will be like a lot of announcements, right? In the conference, like there will like people will get a chance to like meet people on new updates about the technology vendors or like ecosystem partners of IGEL.
Mm.
So, are there any like other things like even I think like maybe there must be a couple of initiatives, right, which IGEL is going to start like in other areas. So are there anything related to that
Oh,
as well, which is
yeah,
exciting
there's
to
some
the
stuff. There's some stuff I can share with
listeners?
you now. So I think what's really interesting, um, we know that IGEL gives you that ability to, internally we call it boot to X. So regardless of your DAS provider, so whether that's Citrix, Broadcom, Microsoft, WorkSpot, Parallels, AWS, whatever the other ones are, yeah, you can configure your IGEL device to boot to X. So just turn on my laptop or my thin client device, and I can boot straight into a desktop, which I think
Yep.
is great. I think it's a great feature. And having the flexibility for customers who are maybe mid-migration to still be able to provide that boot to X functionality regardless of their VDI platform, I think is really strong. So we can now do that with Windows 365. So
Yep.
if you are a Windows 365 customer and you just want to boot straight to a Windows 365 desktop, then you can do that on an IGEL, right? So you don't have to have Windows installed locally on your device. You can just have the nice compact IGEL secure endpoint OS and boot straight into Windows 365. So, you don't have to
Yep.
be managing Windows on the endpoint in order for your end user to get to Windows. So I thought that was really interesting. We did some testing on that internally, and I'll be honest with you, it's one of my favorite use cases at the moment. Um, I think on the other side of that, what we're also increasingly focusing on is whilst we have that boot X functionality, that's not suitable for every single use case, right? Nor should it be. I'm quite a mobile user. I'm hybrid work, so I,
Yep.
work from my home office 2, 3 days a week. I go see to our office in Reading. This week I've been out 2, 3 times visiting customers, and I've done the entire week on my iGel device. And I'm using iGel as my workspace, right? So I'm
Yep.
um, logging on. I'm using Office 365 apps. I use a little bit of AVD if I need it, but everything I've been doing has been through the browser. So what you're starting to see is why not iGel OS as your end user's workspace, right? Why not about that as their endpoint that they're going to use day to day? And we've made a couple of announcements recently to support that. So one thing that everybody's going to want to be able to use is Microsoft Teams. Right, that seems to be the collaboration of app of choice, that and Zoom.
Yep.
So you can now have Teams, the Teams PWA, the Progressive Web App, running locally on an IGEL endpoint, and you
Okay.
doing full Teams. So that's been tested for a while, and now we've released that publicly, so you can now go get that and run that on IGEL OS 12, and you can be running the full Teams client, the full PWA client rather, natively on your thing. So I've been using that all week. I've been out visiting, but I've had a few Teams calls as these things go, and I've been using that, and it's been absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love that. Um, Whilst we're on that theme of browsers, we've just announced a new strategic partnership with Island Browser.
Yep.
So we mentioned that as part of Disrupts. That I guess will be coming to the App Store very soon. That's not there just at the moment, but we are carrying on our testing of that. And I think what Island do is really interesting. That idea of like an enterprise browser. I mean, Citrix have something similar with
Yep.
SPA. But if you're just looking for a secure enterprise browser, Island's Chromium based. So it's the same as what Google do and Microsoft Edge. And you can kind of get that enterprise management of the browser. And it's a really interesting tagline there that, enterprises are great at managing the applications, they manage the endpoint, but they're not managing the end user's browser, right? And that's
Yep.
what Island's there to plug that gap. And I think that coming to IGEL OS, that's going to be incredible. I can't wait for to do that. Access to all your SaaS applications, your internal web apps, single sign-on. Integrated zero trust network access, not only with what they do as part of Ireland, but what we're doing as well as part of IGEL OS. That's going to
Yep.
be a really nice solution. Um, I think then the other thing that we're starting to talk a lot more about now is that if you're an existing IGEL customer today, and you're probably running IGEL OS 11, is how do you get to 12, right? Previously it was you'd have to wipe your IGEL and start again.
Yep.
But if you can upgrade your OS 11 devices to 1109.100, if you can lift it to that level, then you can now do a direct migration to OS 12. So yes, you have to do an internal uplift to 11.9.100 first, which you should be able to do through UMS. And then what you can then do is either over a period of time, you can start migrating your end users to OS 12, so they get all the latest and the greatest features of 12. But you as IT, you get to manage that migration path. And reach out to us if you want any advice on that. We're more than happy to help out. I mean, it'll be my colleague Gordon because he's covering for me while I'm getting married, but they can speak to you or speak to me when I'm back.
Yeah,
And I think that's going to be really good. So that we are increasingly talking to customers a lot about now is like, how do I get from 11 to 12? And I think after Disrupt as well, that's going to increase because customers are going to see all that innovation
correct.
in
Yeah.
Miami and go, right, I need to get to 12 now. So we've provided that path, that way forward now, which I think is really good. So I think, yeah, that's the news.
Yeah, and like it this with this like migration rate from like or like upgrade from like you said, right, we have to lift to like 11.0.900, right, and then
Yeah.
like from where there we can upgrade to 12. So like in that case, like no need to wipe out the device. Those users can use their all their existing applications and everything, right? Those will be OS version will be upgraded along with the existing applications or like policies or profiles which are installed on those particular devices, right? So no need to deploy, no need to create new profiles, kind of a fresh install on the end devices.
Yeah, so yeah, you will need to create new OS 12 profiles. At the moment, there is no migration path between an OS 11 profile to an OS 12 profile.
Yeah,
Um, the way I like to look at the differences between OS 11 and OS 12 is OS 12 is effectively a completely different OS, right? And what kind of the feeling internally was, well, when a customer migrates from 11 to 12, they're probably going to want to redo those profiles anyway, right?
yeah,
It's now's the opportunity. The architecture between 11 and 12 is completely different.
yeah,
OS 11 was a single firmware, all the applications installed, deployed out to your endpoints. OS 12 is modular based, so you deploy the
yeah,
OS and then you deploy the apps that your users need on top of that. That's meant a complete re-architecture in the way that we deliver 12, right? So those profiles, whilst they're in 11, they might not apply in 12. And I think it's that opportunity now to actually, what do I really need as part of my profile? So it's that opportunity to kind of tidy up and make the system a little bit more efficient. And we will support customers with that. So they can reach out to partners like yourself who can help them with that OS 11 to 12 migration path. They can reach out to our own advanced services. We'll do migration days and
yeah,
things like that for customers, or they can kind of tackle it yourself. It's profiles aren't particularly that complicated, but if you have a lot of them, then that might be a bit of a time-consuming job. Um, but yeah, the thing to bear in mind as well, it is a one-way migration. So if you do migrate from 11 to 12, then you can't then go back to 11. So
yeah,
but we offer that in a modular way, so you can just migrate your individual folders, your individual devices one by one or in groups, however your migration project sees fit, you can migrate in that way. So, please test. Please make sure you're doing your testing and your validation like you should do anyway with any change to the end user experience. But yeah, just bear in mind it is a one-way migration. The other thing I will encourage people to do as well is do check out the release notes. There's lots of articles on the IGEL knowledge base at kb.igel.com.
yeah,
There is some interesting notes around things like if you're utilizing custom partitions. So if you are a customer who is using custom partitions, just check the release notes because you're going to need to do some clever work with that. When you migrate from 11 to 12, we will delete that custom partition. So again, the process is easy, but you do need to do your testing, as you should do anyway, right? Um,
yeah,
I suppose the only other note is if you're upgrading laptop devices, we're recommending that they are plugged into power. I know that sounds really stupid, but what we will do is we will do a check. And if your laptop is on battery power and it's got less than 50% battery, we're not going to do that upgrade, right? Because that laptop's going to die. So
yeah,
yeah, have your laptops plugged in, I suppose is my. And I tell you this because I got caught with it. That's why I'm telling you is I did this. I took my IGEL laptop from 11 to 12 and I thought it'd be clever and just do it on battery power and I left it going I went for lunch. I came back and it had failed. It refused to do upgrade because I was at like 30% battery. So yeah, just watch that one. But there
Yeah,
you go. Yeah. So 11 to 12. I mean, yeah, it's the apps now coming into the App Store are getting really interesting, and the more end user apps we get in there, things like Teams PWA and Island Browser when they come in, that whole App Store experience is going to be absolutely phenomenal with OS 12. So yeah, definitely get looking at it.
yeah. So I think yeah, this is about like the products, like product updates, and like I think even people like our listeners, like if they get a chance to attend the like conference in Miami or like IGEL Disrupt Miami, they'll get that look and feel like they can even get like more insight about the things happening with IGEL, as we mentioned about like new technologies getting added, Island Browser, this like seamless migration process from 11 to
Mm.
12. Anything else? Any specific like thing which you want to highlight about IGEL District event, which may create interest in our listeners?
So I think probably if I were you, um, let me put it that way, is our leadership team's going to be at Disrupt, right? So Klaus Oosterman, all the ELT, the extended leadership team, are all going to be at Disrupt. And if you've got an opinion about IGEL, go speak to Klaus while you're there, and tell him what you think. Um, all the leadership team will be there. Most of them will be presenting. And give us your feedback, right? How does IGEL work for you out in the wild? Where do we need to do better? Where do we do great? Please give us that feedback. Um, we are also organising a number of like what we're calling CXO roundtables at Disrupt. So, go get an appointment and do one of those roundtables, and you know, not only listen and learn from what IGEL have got to tell you, but also people in your same vertical, right? If you're a healthcare customer, go speak to other healthcare people there because they may be doing something that you've not thought of.
Yeah.
Equally, you might be doing something that they've not thought of. And I think the big thing about Disrupt is that collaboration, right? It's that being able to meet people and collaborate, the networking side, and then doing all those interesting sessions. So yeah, I think if you are fortunate enough to go do it and really take advantage of getting to meet the team. That would be my
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, I think like we have given like enough information, at least some insight about like what is the event and like even what all things are going to happen in the event. Yeah, I think this is kind of a very good like insight or information to our listeners.
Mm,
And I think right, like maybe with this, like let's conclude this episode. But I think as we even touched beats before, right? I think from now, like in our upcoming episodes, like because like in today's episode, even you talked about like those specific sector specific like or like technology partnerships of IGL or like specific partnerships or specific solutions for those verticals, right? So going forward, I think in a couple of episodes, let's talk specifically about those sectors and like those
yeah.
bundled solutions, those partners, those ecosystem partners, and with that, how IGL Pro One, right, like or help those customers to be succeed in their overall business goals, like pharmaceutical, retail, then like BFSI, banking and
Mm,
finance institutions, right? So let's talk those vertical specific solutions, right? And how in a bundled way, right? IGEL along with some ecosystem partner, how it worked well for those customers.
yeah. I'm really excited about that, Indrajeet. I think it's going to be a really interesting way. We come on here, we talk a lot about the technology and what IGEL's doing, and I think really, how is it solving problems, right? In healthcare, in FinServe, how are we actually solving, what problems do those kind of customers have? What are the challenges and how can IGEL help, to address some of those? I'm genuinely really excited about that. And work is already ongoing right now. We're collecting some case studies. I'm going to share some of my experiences when, I've personally worked across those verticals. And yeah, what is interesting is how different they are. And then sometimes what is also interesting is how similar they are. Healthcare and FinServe, right? They both care for very different reasons about stability, right? And I think that's a really, one's about making money, one's about keeping people alive.
Spending money.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's gonna be really interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think yeah. So with this, like maybe we can like keep that right overall thing in like our listeners' mind, right, where they can even like think of like what all uh, like areas they should focus on, like, and accordingly we'll like talk about those specific solutions along with IGEL, like in our upcoming episodes to those industry specific uh, listeners or like users. And yeah, I think with this, let's
I think
like
I think
conclude. Yeah.
I think what also be interesting is if there is anybody out there, and you know you have questions, they should drop us an email, right? They should ask, and then we can maybe talk about some of those questions as
Yeah,
well.
that would be
So
even a great idea, right? If anyone is like listening this episode, like if they have any specific questions
mm,
about their business vertical, right? Like how IGEL will help or like IGEL will solve their any kind of problem statement or like help them achieve some use cases, then like feel free to reach out to us like on email, on LinkedIn, or like whatever
yeah,
channels we are available on, right? You can reach out to me or like John, and like we'll happy to address all the queries in our next couple of episodes, specific to the sectors or specific to the industry segments.
awesome.
Yeah. I think with this, let's conclude today's episode and like best of luck and like
Thank
congratulations
you,
for your wedding. And
thank you.
like, and I think today is the last like day for you. Like you're going on a holiday, going on a leave starting
Yeah,
tomorrow. So like enjoy the time, like, and enjoy your wedding. Uh, artist, congratulations in advance.
cool.
Thank you. With this, I
Thanks
think let's
ever so
conclude.
much.
Thanks, John. Thanks for your time.
Cool. Take care.
Catch you after your holidays. Take care.